Hello, welcome to the Obsessive Maker Podcast. My name is Sian and I'm coming to you from a sunny Melbourne, Australia. And this is a space where I want to share with you my obsession for making all the things. Anyone who already follows me on Instagram or knows me in real life knows that I can be slightly obsessed with any new kind of crafty hobby that I take up. So I thought, what better way to share that than to create a podcast, and you can join me as I learn new things, as I sew and I knit, and yeah, just join me on my journey. So first of all, a few apologies. This is my first time podcasting, so I'm a little bit nervous. And also it's kind of difficult to get some decent light in my home studio / home office. And so therefore there is a bit of glare coming off my glasses. So I apologize for that. So I guess seeing as this is episode 1, I will share with you a little bit of a brief history about my making, and then we'll take it from there about what I've actually finished recently, what I'm currently working on, and future projects. We all love a future project. So let's get started. So really, a brief history of my making is that I started to sew about 5 years ago and absolutely fell in love with it. I taught myself. I got an old sewing machine from an op shop, or charity shop, and I just kind of took it from there. I taught myself to sew by reading hundreds of blogs, watching loads of YouTube videos, and have become completely obsessed with it. I probably make 70% of my clothes now. I buy very few ready-to-wear clothing, except for jeans, which are really difficult to find, but also kind of challenging to make. So yeah, so any spare minute I had, I was just obsessed with sewing. I'd spend all of my spare time in this room making things. But when it came time for working from home due to COVID and lockdown, I was really struggling to spend any more time in this room than absolutely necessary. As you can see, I still have a work from home setup because we're working part-time in the office and part-time at home. So yeah, I just really struggled to spend any more time in here than absolutely necessary. So I kind of lost my sojo, pardon the pun. And I was looking for something that I could still do to express my creativity. And I'd knitted on and off like really wonky beanies and scarves for most of my adult life. But you know, pick it up, put it down. I didn't really feel like it was ever my thing. But late last year, I thought, you know what? I've knitted a couple of beanies fairly recently. Let's challenge myself to learning to knit properly and knit a garment. So in November, December, I started searching online for kind of beginner patterns, things that would be fairly easy for a newbie to start out knitting. And that's kind of where it all started, really. That's when I seriously started knitting. So I guess we'll move on now to what I'm wearing. This is my second ever sweater or garment that I've knitted. This is the Petite knit Novice sweater, and it was so easy to knit. I have to admit, I was a bit apprehensive at first because it's on smaller needles, and yeah, I'd never really done kind of increases. I'd never knitted a yoke jumper before. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I knitted like a demon. Every spare minute of the day I had, I just worked on this thing, and I think I got it completed in about 4 weeks. I do have some notes. This is my little creative journal. I like to keep track of everything I'm working on, both sewing and knitting. So I don't know if you can see that, but kind of got a bit of everything in there. But so yes, my Novice sweater, I knit size 3XL, not really realizing how much ease was in the pattern. I think I used the right needles from the pattern, but I knitted up a gauge swatch, which is this one here, and I went off my needle size for that. So I went with 5.5mm needles for the ribbing on the neck and cuffs, and 6mm needles for the body and the ribbing on the hem. And the yarn I chose to use for this one was Rowan Kid Classic. So it's a worsted weight yarn, and I absolutely love the color. It was kind of close to black. I don't know if you can see that. It's not really a black, it's like a charcoal grey, and it's called Smoke. And I really enjoyed knitting with it. And this jumper has turned out quite nicely, although very baggy. And the cuffs and the neck have kind of stretched out. So I guess if I were to make it again, I'd probably size down and knit either the 1XL or the 2XL. And from there, I'd probably do some double knitting around the collar and the cuffs, just so that they don't stretch out so much. I have actually inserted elastic into the edge of the collar, and that's made a world of difference. But I did it on the cuffs and it didn't kind of work out, so they're a bit loose and shaggy at the moment. So yeah, but I would definitely knit it again. I really enjoyed it. It's an easy, mindless knit. As a new knitter, it was fantastic to start out with, so highly recommend. So I'm just going to refer to my notes. So that was the Novice sweater, and I have a couple of finished objects which I'm quite proud of. The first one, the very first garment I ever knitted, was the Nanaimo cardigan by Goodnight Day, and this is it here. At the time, I had no idea about gauge or like how it would really affect the sizing of a finished object. So I just found a yarn that I became obsessed with, and it's a 16 ply merino from a lovely Australian-based hand or indie dyer called Minerva Fibre Arts. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to knit it up on the recommended needle size, and if it's too loose and holey, then that's fine, and I'll deal with it and we'll see how it goes. You know, just jump in. So this is the finished object. It's very cute. It's quite heavy though, and when I do actually wear it, it does become a little bit holey. So I don't know if you can, because of the weight, it is kind of holey, a little bit like a fishing net. So I am thinking that I might unravel it all and maybe turn it into a holiday slipover by Petite knit, because I have that pattern and I've been wanting to make it, but I just don't know. So that's my first one. My second finished object, another sweater, and this time you may have seen it on my Instagram. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I literally finished it 2 weeks ago and I have worn it non-stop. Okay, that's a lie. I've probably worn it 70% of the days since I finished and blocked it. And I was going to wear it for this video, but I thought I'd give it a break. It's a little bit tired. So this is it here. And this is the Wednesday sweater by Petite Knit. And I saw loads of rainbow speckled Wednesday sweaters on Instagram when I was obsessing over what yarn to choose for this. So I decided to kind of mimic that. And a lot of people used the silk mohair by Sysleriget. I apologize for that pronunciation, just because I don't know how to speak Danish, I think she's Danish. So I apologize in advance. But I had a look on her website, and thankfully she posts to Australia. Not many do. And I got my hands on this lush unicorn party silk mohair, and here's the label. Boop. So that's what you're looking for if you want to make something like this, and I absolutely adore it. I was going through like umming and ahhing about which yarn to kind of couple it with, and I'd heard about sorry about the dinging, it's just my computer. I'd heard about Wild Earth yarns in New Zealand, and they do some really lovely undyed merino, undyed Polwarth, and it's all New Zealand wool, and I thought I'd give them a go. So I bought myself some undyed Polwarth DK and coupled it with the silk mohair, and there we have this final thing. So I have a few more notes about the Wednesday sweater as well. So for anyone interested, I knitted the 2XL, and I was a little bit concerned at the time of knitting whether or not it would be too big or too short, because it is quite a cropped pattern. But it is supposed to be oversized as well, so I kind of didn't go off my measurements. I went off the finished garment measurements of the sweater, and I decided on the 2XL because I thought I'd want, you know, maybe 5 inches ease in the bust. And in terms of the length, I actually lengthened the body by, well, just at the hem, I lengthened it by about 5 to 8 centimeters. I can't really remember, but I'm so glad I did. I was a little bit nervous about that, but I'm really glad I lengthened it because it really just hits me at the right point on my hip and tummy, and just provides that extra bit of like modesty when you lift your arms up and your sweater rises as well. And yes, so in terms of gauge, I think I got gauge on the recommended needle size, which is 5mm needles for everything except for the, actually no, it says 5mm throughout the pattern. But I actually switched to 4.5mm needles for the cuff because I didn't think it was going to be kind of like tight and scrunchy enough around my wrists. I'm glad I did, because after about a week's wear, it has actually stretched out a bit, and these are quite loose now around my wrist. So when I next block it, I'm going to scrunch them back up and see what happens. So yeah, but I highly recommend this. As I said, this was my 3rd knit. Although it's a very simple design, it was a little bit challenging initially, just doing like the back yoke where you have to do the German short rows. I'd never done them before, but they were kind of easy once you knew what you were doing. And thankfully there are loads of YouTube tutorials, but also Petite Knit actually provides little like how-to videos for all of her patterns, and you don't actually have to buy the patterns to watch those. She actually puts them on her website under each pattern page, and if you scroll down to the bottom, there's like little how-tos on how to do like a Italian bind off for tubular bind off for like the cuffs and the neckline, how to do twisted rib, how to do the German short rows on the back yoke. And yeah, it really helps. I really enjoy seeing those tutorials because I've actually used them quite a bit because I find it difficult to remember how to do the Italian bind off. I'm like, which one do I do first? Do I go through 2 stitches in the front? Anyway, so I've done so many Italian bind offs by now that I'm actually starting to remember it. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I would totally knit it again. It's an excellent everyday sweater, and the combination of these 2 yarns, they are just like, I thought it'd be too hot for an Australian winter, but when you're working from home and it's freezing in the home office and you have no heating, I have no heating in this room, this is perfect. Like, I am so cozy, so cozy. So I'm really grateful to myself that I knitted this. So yeah, they are my finished objects. I do have some works in progress that I want to share with you as well. And they are a mix of knitting and also sewing. So I'm going to move on to those. The first one is actually another petite knit pattern. I know, I'm obsessed. Don't worry, I'm moving on after this one. So it is the Zipper Sweater Man. I really wanted to make something for my dad. He's kind of been left and forgotten when it comes to me making stuff for family. So I thought maybe I could knit him something. So bear with me. For my knitting, actually, I want to show you these really cute bags or baskets. I use these baskets to house my works in progress or new projects, and they're perfect because they hold all the yarn, and I can just fold up my project and pack it away when I'm not using it. So this beastie is the Zipper Sweater Man, and I am almost finished. I actually wanted to film this today because I have to give this to my dad on Sunday, and I literally have a couple of inches left to do on one sleeve. And last night I inserted the zipper into the neckline, and it's ready to be worn, and it's so cozy, and I hope he loves it. But again, it's a continuation of my obsession with mohair, which I'm going to force on everybody that I have to knit for. Sorry, not have to. Everybody that I want to knit for is getting mohair. So my dad actually, I offered to make him something, and he chose the Zipper Sweater Man. I can see why, because it's really versatile and you can just, you know, wear it anywhere. And if you get too hot, you can unzip the neck, which, there we go. Ta-da! He chose this, but he really wanted like a marine navy blue, like a dark marine blue. And I searched everywhere on the web, and I don't know, there must have been a rush on navy blue wool at the time online, because I could not find a sweater quantity anywhere online. So I contacted Little Woolly Makes, who has a bricks and mortar shop in Hastings, just here near here on the Mornington Peninsula. And I actually ordered a Cascade Eco Plus wool that had a mix of like a green and a blue, but unfortunately they didn't have enough in stock, they realized. So they said, suggested, why don't I use the Legion blue, because it's very similar. And I received it, and it was still a bit too green. It was like a petrol blue. So I decided I'm going to make it more blue by adding mohair. And that was really the reason I did that. So this is a Cascade Eco Plus Legion blue held together with a Rowan Kid silk. It's kind of a navy blue, but they call it like Turkish plum, I think. But it's more of a navy blue, and it makes this look navy blue. But when you actually see the skein, I don't have it on me at the moment. When you actually see it, it does look like a dark plum color. So yeah. So this, I was able to get gauged by knitting with the recommended needle size and the two yarns held together. And it's been a really big project for me. I think because I knitted the zipper sweater, the Wednesday sweater first, and this is so similar with the twisted rib neck and the shape, I got a little bit bored. So I've been working on a few other things in the meantime, and I'm about to show you those as well. But yes, deadline tomorrow, well, deadline tonight, I must finish this, and then I'm gonna maybe steam block this, not a full immersion wet block. So yeah, I'll just pack that away. So another work in progress, you can probably see just here to my right, your left, this baby, a combination of colors. I'm just going to hold it up so you can see it. I'm going to tell you about the yarn first, because I have become completely obsessed with Kindred Red's yarns. And when she recently did a drop of her yarns, I set an alarm on my calendar. I got on. I think I wasn't quite quick enough to get a sweater quantity of what I wanted, but I was able to get 3 skeins of her Rad Sock Crystalline. And I'd seen this on her Instagram when she did a previous dye lot, and completely fell head over heels in love with it. And it's this beautiful purple. So I've done the body in it, and it's this beautiful purple with speckles of rainbow colors. And I thought, you know what, I actually have this mohair in my stash, and wouldn't it be nice if I could pair the two together? So I went on Ravelry, had a look around, and couldn't really find anything. I feel like Ravelry is one of those platforms where you kind of have to know what you're looking for to find it. So instead I went to Instagram, and there's a couple of like really colorful knitters that I follow on there, and I just had a look through, scrolled through their feed and see what they'd made with some really bright colors, to see if there are any interesting patterns. And I discovered the As If tee, and I'm going to apologize right now because I cannot remember who drafted the pattern, but I will put it in the show links below. And I thought I'll give it a go. So I casted it on, and this is the tee. I haven't quite finished it yet. As you can see, I still actually need to stitch together the shoulders. I think I've still got a few more rows to do on the back. That's the back. And I also need to add ribbing in the purple, in the crystalline, to the neck and also the sleeves. So I've still got a bit more work to do on this, but it's gorgeous. I love it, and I can't wait to wear it. And here is the combination of my yarns. So I held, that's the crystalline. I held the crystalline together with another Rowan Kid Silk Haze, and that's for the body. And then, as I said, my contrasting color is another Rowan Kid Silk Haze in this beautiful, I think it's called Jewel or Gem, but yeah, it's a beautiful emerald green teal. People see different colors, but it's gorgeous and I love it. So that's that. And then sewing time. So another work in progress. I've been working on this gorgeous Liberty Tana lawn project. I have made the Huon shirt by Munna and Broad, and I saw Natalie Ebor on Instagram made a version of this with like a kind of gathered sleeve and cute little elasticated cuffs, and I wanted to recreate it. So I've pretty much recreated it, but the unfortunate thing is it really doesn't suit me. When I put it on, I look like a giant puffball. And I don't necessarily think it's the sleeves. I think it's the gathering here at the neckline. So my intention is to unpick the collar, which I'm not looking forward to doing, and turn these gathers into pleats and stitch down the pleats so that there's at least some shaping here without volume, and that hopefully will counteract the volume that's going to be on the sleeves. So that's my intention. It is quite a voluminous shirt. It's kind of like a painter's or an artist's smock. And on the back, you've got this lovely kind of flat yoke and then a gathered body down here. And it's beautiful. And I love the fabric. I don't want it to go to waste. I really want to wear this shirt. So if I have to pull it apart and hack it to kind of suit my desired fit, then I will do that. I'm not great at usually following through on those things. So watch this space and hold me accountable. Hopefully, if I'm posting this online, it's going to hold me accountable. Anywho, I am rambling, so I'm going to get back on track. finally, from the works in progress, you can't really call it a work in progress because I haven't actually started putting it together, but I have been wanting to sew a biker jacket for the longest time, and I finally found the right fabric, and this is gorgeous. Let me go back a little bit. There's this gorgeous lilac leather biker jacket by Acne, my bad. It's a few seasons old, like a few years old, but I'm completely obsessed with it and I wanted to recreate it. So I have this pattern. It's the Quick Sew 3764. There's a few bits of hacking that I'm going to do to it. So for example, on the back, just on the drawing here, I'm going to make view A, and that's view A's back. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, I've made a few kind of drafted changes. So what I've done is I've taken the pattern pieces, I've traced them, and I have done the hacking I need to do, but now I need to do a muslin or a toile, and I don't normally do those. So I'm just struggling to find the motivation to put that together, but that's my next project with sewing. I did have to wait a little while for my zips to turn up for it, and I ordered them from AliExpress. And this is the fabric I'm going to use to make the jacket. So yeah, I did try and use like readily available zips, and I was going to dye them, but I had a terrible time trying to dye them, and in the process of dyeing them, one of them actually fell apart. So I gave up, I caved in, and I ordered from AliExpress. So this is a wool cashmere coating. I got it from Super Cheap Fabrics, which surprisingly they do have some lovely coating. I think it was something like $20 a meter, and it was on sale, so it actually went down to $18 a meter. So bargain, love a bargain. Anywho, moving on. That's pretty much it for the works in progress. So I'm calling my drafting and my pattern hacking a work in progress for this jacket. I really want to get this finished by midwinter, because otherwise what's the point? So I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on myself. Okay, so moving on, we have a few acquisitions or Stashquisitions. But recently it was Mother's Day in Australia. I think that coincides with American Mother's Day, but not British or European Mother's Day. I'm not sure. But I went down to see my mum, who is my mum and dad, who live about an hour away. And near them, or near where they live, is actually Little Woolly Makes, who I mentioned previously, where I got the other yarn for my dad's jumper. And I finally got to go in store and look at all the luscious new stock that she got, and came out with a very restrained bundle of purchases. So it was Mother's Day, and I wanted to make my mum something. I've sewn her loads of stuff, but I haven't knitted her anything. So I thought maybe I could knit her a shawl. Sorry about the rustling. Maybe I could knit her a shawl, and I saw that I saw the Bennett Sisters shawl on Ravelry. I've never knitted a shawl before, so I wanted something simple to start with. And my mum went and chose these, because you're supposed to choose 2 different yarns, contrasting yarns, and 1 mohair to go with them. So these are the ones she chose, and they're just gorgeous. I'm really jealous now. These are totally my colors as well, and I am probably going to want to steal this from her. But yeah, so we have a Life in the Long Grass twist sock in Earthshine, and it's just got some beautiful kind of greens and blues and earthy tones through it. And then we have Hedgehog Fibres Skinny Singles in Sage, and it's a single merino, so it's 100% merino. It's beautiful. I want to keep it, but no. And then we have Little Woolly Makes hand dyed lacy fluff. So it's a kid mohair silk yarn, and it's a lace weight, and it's in the color Sea Glass. So I thought the Sea Glass would go really beautifully with the Life in the Long Grass Earthshine, because there's some really similar blues in that. And it's going to be gorgeous. So that was for my mum, but I couldn't walk out of there without getting something for myself. So I also got some Ting Fibre silk mohair. I told you I was obsessed with mohair earlier, and this one is in the colorway Peningo. I think that's how you say it, but oh, it's really lovely. I don't know what I'm going to make with it. I'm thinking I might save it and use it on the pink velvet sweater. I really want to try my hand at color work, so I am thinking I'll save this and use it for the color work. But I just need to figure out what yarn I'm going to use for the body, the main color. So yeah, that's my Stashquisitions. I could go through my entire stash. Honestly, I could do like 4 different episodes on my fabric stash and my yarn stash alone, so I'm not going to bore you today with that. I am upcoming projects. Okay, I got distracted. So my next projects that I'm making, as I mentioned, that brings us nicely round to upcoming, is I'm making the Bennett Sisters shawl for my mum. I don't actually have the pattern for that yet, but I'm going to get it. But the next project for myself is going to be the Magnolia Bloom sweater by Camilla Vad. I saw this on the gram and I became completely obsessed with it, and I already have the yarn in my stash. I'm going to use 3 different yarns for the sweater, and the pattern actually calls for 2 strands of lamb's wool and 2 strands of mohair to be held together, but I thought I'm going to use what I have, and if I need to add to that to kind of get gauge, then I'll do that. So I have a lilac heathered wool of the Andes from Knit Picks, and I also have in my knitting basket, my other knitting basket, Knit Picks Aloft in this kind of pale purple color. Now those together from my stash didn't quite make gauge, so I got some Isega Spinny to add to that. So those 3 together will make up my Magnolia Bloom. So, just dropping things. I am going to hold off on starting that until I've completely finished my dad's zipper sweater. And other exciting things, I just got accepted to join a test knit, which for me is very exciting and very nerve-wracking because I've never done it before. I'm not going to tell you anything about it today, but when I find out more and I know what the parameters are for sharing information, I will let you know. In the world of sewing, I owe my husband a few garments, and I have been promising him for about 12 to 18 months that I would make him a pair of corduroy trousers. So I've got the corduroy, I've got the pattern, I just need to have the motivation to do it. So they're my next projects. So that's pretty much it for today. I feel like this was a really long episode. I really wanted to share everything with you, but then I realized I kind of have to hold back as well. Otherwise I'll have nothing to share next time. So if you enjoyed this, I hope you'll join me next time and do the things that you do on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have anything you want to add. And if you have any advice about suggested patterns that I should try in the future, let me know. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing this with you. I kind of feel like I've been talking to a friend. And yeah, I hope you'll join me next time.